Hello, welcome to the International Uşak Short Film Festival. We are here with Dominik Hartl. Am I right?
Hartl. Hartl. It's hard to pronounce. Yeah.
Hard to pronounce. With his short film, Washing Machine, the Waschmaschine. Like,
Yeah. Right.
My German is not good. So, could you introduce us yourself, Dominik?
Of course. Hi, I'm Dominik Hartl. I'm the writer and director of The Washing Machine. And I'm very happy to be part of this year's Uşak Film Festival selection. Thank you very much. And yeah, even though we are under quite strange circumstances this year.
It's at least it's good to be with people even online. They are at their homes and they are still enjoying the festival.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. So, The Washing Machine is a short film which takes in a young couple's house and start from a broken washing machine, and the story goes from this washing machine to several aspects, like cultural aspects, some prejudice among these cultural backgrounds people. So my first question is, where does this idea come from you?
The idea comes from personal experiences, because I guess almost everyone I know, or almost everyone my age, sells and buys stuff online, also privately. And it's always a weird sensation when you let a complete stranger into your home to buy something. You don't know anything about this person, and they see how you live and where you live. And then the other aspect, of course, is that when you sell something online that you want to get rid of, you paint a picture of the item that is at least slightly better than it usually is. And yeah, these two components kind of led to sort of a downward spiral in my head of a worst case scenario of such a situation.
Yeah. So in this film, I can say foreigner immigrants maybe. I don't know the backstory, but let's say an immigrant comes to get the washing machine, and when everything starts for our protagonist, the young man, turns really good, it starts developing bad. And do you think culturally there's a background for immigrants and natives? They are clashing, even they don't really know themselves, with their prejudice. This, I think, this film is mostly about their prejudice. They don't know each other, and they have ideas about that, and these ideas brought a fear. What are you thinking about this prejudice and the fear that people are facing?
Mm-hmm. So the prejudice and the fear that I wanted to show is basically the prejudice and fear of someone like me, someone who sees himself or herself as liberal and as open-minded. But then on the other hand, every one of us has prejudices. It's really hard. I think it's an active thing to avoid these thoughts and that behavior. And I wanted to specifically point out that someone who doesn't see himself as a xenophobe or anything also falls for these prejudices very easily as soon as you are personally somehow affected by it. And of course, there's a certain fear lingering over the whole situation because of his girlfriend and because of just small things that happened in between them that start to grow bigger and bigger in his head, thinking about them. So yeah, that was my main theme, I think, for this film, was how is someone who thinks he's liberal confronted with prejudice and fear.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also another aspect, besides this cultural norms that I can point out, there is a, how can I say, manly hierarchy in this movie.
Absolutely,
the man is trying to make a room or make a how can I say dominance for his life, but he's struggling with his girlfriend's father and also other men, which somehow related with the physical power. Maybe there's a fragile thing about the manly parts. Maybe we can talk about that too.
Yeah. So that the other maybe on a layer underneath that, it's about, as you said, being a man, what it means to be a man, and our protagonist has some struggles that I think are somehow speaking for a broader aspect of our generation, because I don't know how it is in Turkey, but I guess in the middle income group that our generation is very dependent on our parents for a longer time than in maybe the 80s or even earlier. And that always raises some questions of, are you in charge of your own life? And of course, as a guy who lives in his girlfriend's father's apartment, that's an aspect that I also, also there's a lot of autobiographical inspiration in that part of the story. It's not as bad as in the film, but I just know this feeling, where you're like always dependent on asking someone if you want to, I don't want to have a car, but sometimes I need a car, and then you always have to ask your father-in-law, can I borrow the car? And you want to avoid these situations, and then again you are totally dependent on them. Yeah. So that's I think a broader aspect that that was somehow important for me to also infuse the story with.
Yeah, it's a lovely film, really humanly way to express those feelings, and also in a bigger aspect, which is not like really big shocking events, but just some thoughts inside the film. I would like to go further about your cast choices. How was the script process for you? And after the script till the production, how was your cast choices? Was there any struggle? Maybe you can tell us about your challenges during that period.
Of course. So there were a lot of challenges in the making of the film, of course. In this case, the challenges were in unexpected places for me. So first of all, I think the script development went quite smoothly as far as I remember. Casting wasn't that easy because it was very important for me to show a couple that as many people as possible can identify with immediately. Like when you see them, you because they do somehow, not bad things, but I was worried that it's hard to empathize with them. So I wanted to show these two couch potatoes that you also like instantly. So it took quite a while to find the right actors. Because I think if they would have been, let's say, more of a hipster couple, for example, I think audiences would hate them instantly. So we were searching for some really like low key, very normal couple, so to speak. And I was very happy to find Thomas and Brigitte, who played a couple. And then it was very challenging to find someone for the role of Hassan. Mm-hmm. So Aziz Çapkurt, the actor that we found, he lives in Germany. And the thing is, so there are a lot of actors also in Vienna who have, for example, Turkish background, but they are so fed up with playing characters who speak poorly German and who are always, the migrants. So, and I just also felt bad asking one of those, can you play one of these guys again? And the thing with Aziz is that he really has a bad German because he speaks very good English, but he just recently moved to Germany, so he hadn't got this whole backpack of living in Germany or in Austria and always being called out as someone who supposedly can't speak German. And also the other thing was that I wanted someone who physically could be a threat, but has something very soft in his eyes or in the way he behaves. So, and Aziz was just that guy. He's a very nice guy. When you see him, when you meet him, he has very, soft eyes, a very warm appearance. But he's also, you could think that he could be a threat physically to someone. Yeah. And then the biggest challenge was to find the right apartment, because I thought like finding an apartment is the easiest thing, right? But we had no money for to decorate a place, and you find loads of empty apartments, but to find an apartment where someone actually lives and lets you shoot there, that was a huge challenge, and it took us months. And then we had something, and they canceled 5 days before the shooting was scheduled. It was an Airbnb place, and then they somehow kind of, I think it dawned to them what they got into, letting someone shoot at their place. Mm-hmm. And they pulled out last minute. But we already, arranged everything, all the rentals. And then we were very, very lucky last minute. It's one of those stories where you just over the point, where you don't feel bad for anything anymore and just go, this one step further, because things are so bad already that you just don't give a shit anymore if people are very annoyed by you. And then we found this one apartment where it got renovated right after we shot there. Basically, they wanted to renovate it that week when we shot there. Mm-hmm. And we really went on our knees and asked them, please reschedule it for 1 week. Let us shoot there. And that was a big and very lucky coincidence, because then we could, move in the apartment, change things. Mm-hmm. No one cared if something got broke, because of course things get broke when you shoot somewhere. And
crowd down there, so there's never time.
So that was the process, and afterwards, I think these were the highlights in terms of what could happen.
Yeah. So basically, you changed another Airbnb location.
No, it was through another student, a friend of a friend, and they were searching for apartments for a long time. Like where you a friend of a friend, and then they showed us pictures. To be honest, I think the apartment was perfect in some ways, because we could really be there, and didn't have to worry too much. And it also had this situation where you actually had this view from the window down onto the street. So all these things worked out very well. I think it's probably a bit too loud in terms of, I wouldn't have chosen the wallpapers, for example, or that the color in the kitchen, because these are they take a lot of attention. And sometimes I think that, that the set design draws too much attention on it. It should have been more of a low key apartment, but we just we didn't have the money, or we couldn't afford doing it on our own terms.
I can see.
How it is.
But the house has a character, as you said, with all these things, and the film takes place only in this flat. So I think maybe that choice works for you in another way. I don't know. In the production periods, how many days did you shoot? And your challenges in the production, how many people worked there? Maybe as far as I can understand, it's a small environment, so it's not easy to fit so many people there. Maybe we can talk about the production challenges.
I think the biggest production challenge during the shooting was the heat. It was in the midst of summer, and it's one of those old dish buildings from the 50s where they didn't have a lot of money for insulation. So it was really hot in that apartment. And even though it was a small production, there were always at least 10 people in the small apartment. So it was packed, and then there's all the equipment. So that was the biggest challenge during the shoot. We had 5 days of shooting, which I think was just perfect, because it was kind of tight, but at the same time we really had the time to focus on the actors, which was very important for me. And and then of course one of the big challenges were the neighbors, because since we got the location so late, we couldn't really prepare anyone for us coming into their house. And of course there's always at least one old lady that wants to call the police as soon as you drop something on the floor, or
there's always someone like
there's always that one neighbor that is really, really obnoxious. We tried to soothe her with wine and cake, and I think it worked out in the end, but
Perfect. So another question. Actually, when I search with your name, you are an experienced filmmaker, and you have also feature films. So it's not so common to see a feature film director to shoot again a short film. People see the short film as a step to go to the feature film. What do you think about the short films? What was your decision, or what was your thoughts when you shoot another short film? From this feature, what was your expectations?
So the thing is, I studied at the Vienna Film Academy till 2013 or 12. And after my bachelor thesis film, which was a short film, I shot 3 features for cinemas in Austria, and they were mainly genre films, horror, comedy genre films. And at some point I decided that I want to somehow go deeper as a writer and director. And I decided to go back to school, basically, and started my master's at the Vienna Film Academy a year and a half ago in Michael Haneke's class. And I just wanted to experiment and go try out different things that you cannot try out once you're in this machinery outside of an academic institution. And the washing machine was the first short film that I shot for my master studies. And I think, of course, short films are a stepping stone towards a feature film, but I also think that they are a genre of their own, of course. And sometimes I think it's even harder to find the right story for a short film compared to a feature film. And I also think that there's a shift how people look on short films coming right now, because it's just something that should be seen as a genre of its own. And I also think, due to all the streaming platforms and all these formats coming out of these streaming platforms, that the lines will blur between doing short, that you have to do a short film in order to get a feature film, that you also can go back and just experiment with length and formats and all these things. But the film was written within an academic, context. And basically what I wanted to do was, I wanted to find a setting that is very small with very few actors and try to get the most out of it. That was my initial thought when I knew that I had to write something for the university again. And this is what came out of it.
Perfect. It's a really successful film. I would like to congratulate on my behalf, at least.
Thank you very much.
I think, lastly, you can tell us the washing machines festival journey, maybe. How was the reaction for the audience from, I think, it travels several places among the world. Is there any reaction? How was your expectations and what did you find? Then we can finish our interview after this question.
Yeah, well, the festival circuit for the washing machine was, as for any film this year, I think was very weird because of the Corona crisis. The initial premiere festival would have been the Diagonale in Austria, which is for Austrian films within Austria the most important festival, and that was the first festival to be cancelled here in Austria. And from that on, it went its way, and it also is and was screened at a variety of international festivals. But of course, there is very few feedback that I get as a filmmaker from audiences. Sometimes I get emails, and I'm very happy if someone is like, "Hey, I saw your film and I liked it." That's awesome, because you don't have that experience, and I think it just feels weird, even if this was not a big film. You spend so much time and love doing something, and then you send it out into the ether. And this year it really felt like sending it out into some fog where you only get some blinks and short messages back. So it was weird. There was only one festival that happened in between the two lockdowns that I could attend, and it felt so good. It's a very small but very nice festival just outside of Vienna, and it even won an audience prize there, and that was a really great experience to be there, to talk with people face to face about not just your own films, but about films in general. And yeah, so it's a weird year in that aspect too, of course. Yeah.
Thank you, Dominik, for our interview.
Thank you so much, Darin.
And I hope everything best for you again with the washing machine.
Thanks a lot.
See you.
Bye.